What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, happy Monday, everybody. And we got a lot to talk about. Noelle Quinn is officially out in Seattle. Now you know about the Indiana Fever and how good they really can be and how you cannot take them for granted. And the Minnesota Lynx continue to just be dominant. I guess that pink hair, like those pink strands that some players have in their head, I guess that's a thing. And it's contributing to winning. Anyway, Quit in the Morning starts now.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Ready, set, go.
Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Again, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Again, welcome to Quita in the Morning. We got a lot to talk about today, and I'm excited about it because we are just entering into a new era when it comes to the WNBA, when it comes to the playoffs. Basically, everything is exciting. And it has just continued to get more and more and more exciting. It started last week with the playoffs starting not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that. And that one was kind of a dud to start off the round one for the first game. But then it really got going on Tuesday. As we saw a fantastic Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, and then Sunday, yesterday. A continuation of fantastic games. But before we get into the playoffs and what has happened, because I feel like we've already kind of beaten that horse, we've kind of talked about it a lot. I want to talk about something I have not talked about yet that is super, super important, okay? And it's the fact that it's over in Seattle. It is over. We have seen the first change-up, the first shake-up in coaching this season. Last year, we saw a massive exodus of WNBA teams getting rid of their coaches. This year, we were waiting to see what teams would do. Who would be the first to get rid of their head coach? And it turns out that first one who's going to start the trend is the Seattle Storm. All right, it is the Seattle Storm. We do have news that I guess is not so breaking anymore. It came through yesterday. However, because of all the coverage of the games, I was not able to actually make a video about it. So we're going to talk about it now. The Seattle Storm has announced that Noelle Quinn will not return as head coach for 2026. They are not renewing her contract. And to be honest with you guys, this is not shocking, right? The writing has been on the wall for months now, for maybe over a year now. This is not just about a coaching change in Seattle. To me, this is a signal that the Storm are about to rip open the blueprint and redraw the future, because what they have been doing for the last 2 seasons is not working. It's not contributing to championships. And what this team wants more than anything is dubs. They want dubs. They want to win. And what they've been doing is not good enough at all. So, first up, let's talk about Noelle Quinn and her time in Seattle. Because Noelle Quinn and the Seattle Storm go way back, right? She was first a player for Seattle back in 2013. Came back, I believe, in 2016 to the team. She ended her playing career with the Seattle Storm, being a part of that 2018 championship squad. Talk about a fairy tale finish, right? You start off with the team in 2013. You leave, come back, and then you win a championship, and then she pulled one of the ultimate, like, Yeah, she hasn't left the building. She's just switching roles type of thing. She went straight from player in 2018 to coach in 2019. By 2020, she was the associate head coach for the Seattle Storm during another run for the title. And then in 2021, right after the season started, just a couple of games in, Dan Hughes, the famed head coach for the Seattle Storm and also just famed head coach in women's basketball, period, he made the decision to retire. Now, why exactly did Dan Hughes wait until the season started to retire? Well, that's a whole nother thing. But he made the decision to retire. And with that retirement, you had to figure out, okay, well, who was going to be the new head coach, right? We had seen in years past that David, I believe his name was David Kloppenberg. He was Gary Kloppenberg. He was someone who had, served as a head coach when Dan Quinn wasn't available and whatnot. And so there was, he could have given the job to Kloppenberg, but made the decision to give it to Noelle Quinn, with Dan Hughes saying at the time, quote, "I'm excited to hand the reins to Noelle. She is well positioned to do this job, and I am proud to have mentored her during my time here. I look forward to her and the team's ongoing success." And for the official reason as to why Dan Quinn made the decision to retire just 6 games into the season, he cited, quote, "the rigors of being a head coach." So, boom. Noelle Quinn's ready for the job, and she makes history. She makes history as the first Black head coach in Storm history, and one of the growing list of former players in the WNBA who had become a head coach. And during her tenure, guys, in terms of records, Noelle Quinn didn't do a terrible job, right? Noelle Quinn ended up finishing the second most wins in Seattle Storm history with 97 wins across 5 seasons. On paper, that's a pretty good resume, right? Former player on the team, then you join and as the head coach, you win 97 games, second most in team history. That's impressive, right? Well, on paper, again. But basketball is not an on-paper sport. It's not. All right. Here's the rub, guys. For Noelle Quinn and the Seattle Storm, 4 playoff trips in 5 years, sure, that looks impressive. Yes, the 2023 season was horrible for the Seattle Storm. I'm ignoring the 2023 season because, to me, the 2023 season was just something that it was just bad, right? You had, Sue Bird had retired. Breanna Stewart had left for New York. It was basically just Jewel Lloyd just hooping, and that didn't really lead to any success. So ignore 2023. But if you specifically look at 2024 and 2025, Seattle basically just struggled big time, right? Struggled big time. Because when it came to the postseason, during Noelle's tenure, well, they weren't good. They weren't good at all. Because the Seattle Storm got out of the first round once during Noelle Quinn's watch. Overall, they had a playoff record of 4 wins, 8 losses. And even with talent like Sue Bird, Breanna Stewart, Jewel Lloyd, Gabby Williams, Skylar Diggins, Nneka Ogwumike, Ezzy Magmagor, Seattle never finished higher and I believe 6th in offensive rating in the WNBA. They never became the powerhouse roster that they could have been. They never became the powerhouse that their roster suggested that they could have been. And if you have several years of bad performance, several years of coming into the season saying, yes, we have the roster, this is our year, but then you're sitting at home watching the playoffs, well, somebody has to pay for that. And that somebody has to be the coach. Right? Makes sense, right? Their roster screamed, especially in the last 2 years, screamed firepower, right? But the offense struggled, right? It was like having components of a supercar, but never getting it into the right gear. Never. It stayed in first gear the whole time, right? It wasn't great for Seattle on the court. And then came the off-court tension. In 2024, Jewel Lloyd, a franchise cornerstone, demanded a trade. Why? Because tensions with the coaching staff. There was an investigation into alleged bullying and harassment, but the coaching staff was cleared. But the damage was done. Jewel Lloyd wanted out, and she got out. And it didn't stop there. This past season, we saw Alicia Clark, a player, a legacy Seattle Storm player. She made her triumphant return back to Seattle, and she didn't even last the season. She requested a trade mid-season, and guys, when you have legacy vets starting to check out, that says less about your talent as a team, more about the culture that surrounds that talent. And speaking of the season, guys, to me, this season really was the final straw, right? This is the final straw. Because to start off the 2025 season, well, expectations were sky high, right? You have a blend of vets, young talent, and a rookie phenom in Dominique Malunga who basically sky's the limit for her and her talent. Add in a midseason trade for Brittany Sykes. You have Nneka Ogwumike being Nneka. You have Skylar Diggins as your point guard. You got Gabby Williams locked in. You have the resurgence of Erica Wheeler as a 6 woman. And this should have been a recipe for top 4, top 5 team in the W. Instead, the Seattle Storm limped to a 7th seed. Now, sure, did the Seattle Storm fight hard in the first round matchup against Vegas? They did. They pushed it to 3 games, but they're still packing. They still had to pack their bags after round 1. And when you go back-to-back, flaming out in the playoffs, fans still remember the championships in Seattle. The several championships, right? They still remember when Sue, Stewie, Jewel had won one. The front office is looking like, you know what? Our fans want to win. We want to win. And what's been happening over the last couple of years is not working. Not working at all. And, well, the seat under Noelle Quinn was toast. Because the Seattle Storm did not hit expectations at all. This is a team that had a lot of talent on paper. But as we said on this channel time and time again, just because you do something on paper does not mean it actually equates to reality. Because on paper, the Seattle Storm last year and this year was an extremely good team. Extremely good team. But you don't capitalize. You don't take advantage. And because of that, the move to not bring back Noelle Quinn was inevitable. Inevitable. Even though that game 3 game was super, super tight with the Aces, it didn't save her job. Now, I thought it could have, possibly, but it didn't save her job. Because 5 years in, the Seattle Storm looked stuck. This was not a roster that was being maximized. Seemed like the vibes in and around that locker room seemed to be a little sour. And the team felt like they were running in place. And in sports, fair or not, the head coach becomes the face of frustration if you are not playing as good as you should be, right? The coach becomes the face of frustration for the fans and for the front office. And in 2025, Noel Quinn was the face of Seattle's stagnation and underperformance. And the face had to go. And so the Seattle Storm made the announcement that Noel Quinn is gone. And it makes you kind of wonder, okay, Noel Quinn's out. What now? By the way, this is my favorite Seattle Storm logo. When the Seattle Storm had this logo, that was my epic team. So I love to use this logo every now and then. So what now? What now, guys? The Seattle Storm enter a huge offseason. This is a team that is hunting for a head coach, right? They're not the only ones hunting for a head coach. We also have the 2 expansion teams, Portland and Toronto, that are hunting for a head coach as well. The good news is, well, you got some pieces. You got some young pieces. You got Dominique Malunga, who could wind up being a first-team All-WNBA player or maybe even an MVP in the future. She has a lot of talent. You have Jordan Horston and Nika Mule, who missed this season due to ACL tear, but they should be back and available next season. And you have a fan base that is just not going anywhere, right? They're ready to see the Seattle Storm team go back to their previous success. Next year, nearly the entirety of the WNBA, over 100 players, will be free agents. And the translation of that means that Seattle, they have money, they have a lot of history, they have a lot of amenities. Remember the new facility they just built? And they have a big opportunity. We've already seen a coaching shakeup, but guys, expect possibly a front office philosophy shakeup. Because the Storm are not trying to hang around the middle of the pack. The Storm are trying to hang banners. Also, we'll see what happens on that front. And so they have to make changes, not just with the coaching, which they have already had, but remember Pokey Chapman, one of the assistant coaches for the Seattle Storm, she held a front office position, and so with the GM, right? And so there has to be significant changes that I anticipate from a front office standpoint, not just coaching. So to wrap up, Noel Quinn's era is officially over in Seattle. I wouldn't say it was a disaster, but I would say it was definitely underwhelming. Because Seattle and first round exits, they don't mesh. They don't mesh and they're unacceptable. So yeah, that's basically what's going on in Seattle. They are out They have made the decision to not renew Noelle Quinn's contract. Was she fired? Technically, no. They just decided to not renew her contract, which would go into 2026. Coaches do have contracts, guys. And her contract was up, and they're like, actually, yeah, we're not continuing on with you. Now, yes, there was stuff that was said in the exit interviews for the Seattle Storm, specifically from Lexi Brown and Tiffany Mitchell, and there was a lot of people who were talking about that and speculating about that. And here's the thing. I will be doing a separate recap around those exit interviews because I think they said a whole lot. And I think it's important to talk about what these players had to say, but not in this video. All right, but I just wanted to acknowledge that was a thing, and we'll talk about it likely at another time. But anyway, Seattle Storm, major shakeup. We'll see what happens, okay? All right, let's go to the weekend and the weekend activities, which revolved around the Indiana Fever taking down the Las Vegas Aces. Guys, the final score was 89-73. This was a game that I was not expecting at all. I did not expect that the Aces would lose so badly. Now, are the Aces a really good team? Yes. Are the Fever a really good team? Yes. Are the Fever better than a lot of people like to give credit for? Yes. And is Kelsey Mitchell one of the toughest guards and hardest guards in the playoffs? Yes. Yes. This team in Indiana is extremely good. And I know that we can focus on the Aces and how good they are and whatever. But at the end of the day, anybody and everybody can get got, especially when the other team is being guarded by one of the fastest guards in the WNBA. You ask Alicia Gray who the hardest player to guard is in the WNBA. She says Kelsey Mitchell. You ask Kelsey Plum who the hardest player to guard in the WNBA is. She says Kelsey Mitchell, right? You ask Lindsay Allen not Lindsay Allen. You ask Ty Harris who the hardest guard to guard in the WNBA is. She says Kelsey Mitchell. You ask Jordan Canada who the hardest guard. Who is the hardest guard to guard against? And she says Kelsey Mitchell. Guys, Kelsey Mitchell has been somebody who hasn't gotten a ton of attention over the years because the Indiana Fever has floundered. But when teams faced against the Indiana Fever, the number one player you worried about was Kelsey Mitchell because she is, as Molly says, fast and durable. Kelsey Mitchell is a tough player to guard. Kelsey Mitchell yesterday was unstoppable. And if the Aces want to win, they got to figure out a way to do it. Because here's the thing, now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. Kelsey Mitchell came in and was like, okay, yeah, I didn't win. Okay. I finished 5th place in MVP voted. Okay, that's fine. Let me rock out on y'all. And score 34 points efficiently. Let me lead my team to victory against the MVP. Let me show them up on their home court. And that's exactly what happened. And it wasn't just Kelsey Mitchell, even though she was the breakout, standout player of the night. It was also Odyssey Sims, a player that the Indiana Fever got later in the season. Right? She wasn't even on this team to start the season. But how she has gelled with this team, get into the bucket, making her impact known in this one. And then, of course, you got Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston, who does not score a lot of points. And if you look at the box score, you're like, Aaliyah Boston, what are you doing? You get 6 points, five assists, 11 rebounds, that's it? If that's what you say about Aaliyah Boston and how she played yesterday, you didn't watch the game. Because I've told y'all before, I'm going to tell y'all again, it's way more than the box score. You actually have to watch the games and not just look at talent. At the box score. You got to actually watch them. Watch the games. Because if you actually watch the game, you saw how Aaliyah Boston was annoying the crap out of A'ja Wilson. She said it in the interview with I believe I forgot who it was, but she said it in the interview during the game. Aaliyah Boston was trying to be annoying. She was. Aaliyah Boston was a pest. Just everywhere against A'ja Wilson, and A'ja Wilson struggled. Here's the thing: Aaliyah Boston is a really good defender against A'ja Wilson. We've seen them have battles throughout the season, right? It's not like A'ja Wilson could just cruise against the Fever and do whatever she wants. Aaliyah Boston is a big body that uses her body and knows exactly the things that's going to bother A'ja Wilson, and she did it yesterday. Yesterday, A'ja Wilson, after receiving her MVP trophy at home, proceeded to get shut down by Aaliyah Boston. Yes, A'ja Wilson does score 16 points in yesterday's game. She scored 16. But she goes 6 of 22 from the field. 6 of 22. That is atrocious. Right? For A'ja Wilson. Now, again, someone having a double-double, 16 points, 13 rebounds, that's not a bad game for most players. But for A'ja Wilson, it's terrible. Those are not good stats. Those are not good stats that you want to have. But Aaliyah Boston, as she said, hey, she's trying to be a pest. She's trying to be annoying. And that's what she was. And we saw that it came with some huge success because as A'ja Wilson struggles, so goes the rest of her team. So goes the rest of her team. I'm just saying. Okay? And so that's something to think about, right? That's something to think about as we go into the rest of the series, is how in the world is Aaliyah Boston going to continue to battle against A'ja Wilson, right? Now, guys, this isn't the first time that A'ja Wilson has faced against Aaliyah Boston this season, right? Remember, Indiana has played Las Vegas before and have won before this year, right? Earlier this year, we saw the Indiana Fever beat the Las Vegas Aces 80-70. In that game, A'ja Wilson had 20 points, 6 rebounds on 41% shooting from the field, right? That was before the All-Star break. Then after the All-Star break, we saw them play again. And this time, Indiana beat Las Vegas by even more, 81-54. In that game, A'ja Wilson was fantastic. 29 points off of 50% shooting. But the rest of her team was trash. In that game, A'ja Wilson scored more than half of her team's points. And they lost. We then saw the Aces play the Fever for the last time. We saw them play the Fever again. And the Aces won 89-81. Where A'ja Wilson scored 24 points off of 38% shooting. This season, the Indiana Fever are 2-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. And in those games, sure, did A'ja Wilson play pretty well? Sure, but her team lost, you know. And if you have a game where A'ja Wilson struggling, shooting less than 40% from the field against the Fever, you're gonna have a hard time winning. You're gonna have a hard time winning. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens as the season goes on, as the series goes on, because Viva's right. The Fever are faster. They're faster. To me, this team is, the phrase I'd like to think of when it comes to the Indiana Fever is young, wild, and free. That's what this team plays like. They have confidence up the wazoo. They're free in terms of their play style, and they're wild because it's sort of like you don't know who's going to get you. You don't know who's going to get you. And to me, I think that's an ultimate compliment. Is a team that is free but together, wild but contained. Right? It's not too much of anything with the Indiana Fever when they are at their best. And right now they're looking really, really good. We'll see exactly how the Aces regroup, because they got to regroup quite a bit. Right? There's a lot that this team has to do, because this start, not a good one. But for the Indiana Fever, spectacular. Chef's kiss. Spectacular start. And we'll see how it continues on from here. All right. Let's move on to the other game that happened yesterday. And this one was, it was over. It looked like Phoenix was about to come into Minnesota and get the dub. Down 7 points at halftime. And they mark a fantastic second half, ultimately taking down the Phoenix Mercury 82-69. This was a game that was all about this woman right here. Welcome, guys, to the Courtney Williams Show. Welcome to the Courtney Williams Show. She's been gone for a while in terms of her being her excellent self on the court. But yesterday, she was back. She was absolutely back, and she got some help from the rest of her teammates as well. Courtney Williams, going against some of her former teammates, got the job done. The mid-range assassin was back. 23 points, 11 of 19 from the field. And Courtney Williams gets kind of close to a triple-double. 23 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. She was doing just a bit of everything. And it was glorious to see, right? We've seen Courtney Williams have some struggles. And when she's had some struggles in the playoffs, we've seen Natisha Heidemann show up big, right? So in those two games against the Valkyries, Courtney Williams struggled. She did. She struggled from the field. She struggled to be very effective for a team. And when she struggled, Natisha Heidemann was there. But one thing about Courtney Williams is she's not going to struggle for long. Courtney Williams is too good of a player to be struggling for a long time. And yesterday, she was on one. 57% shooting from the field. Get into her spots, making the right decisions, right passes, playing some fantastic defense, 5 steals for Courtney Williams yesterday. And the rest of her team did their job, right? From Nafisa Collier getting close to a double-double, 18 points, 9 rebounds, to Kayla McBride knocking down threes left and right with 21 points, right? To even Maria Kundakova, who gave some really good minutes off the bench. This Minnesota Lynx team was rocking and rolling, especially in that second half, and there was nothing Phoenix can do. Phoenix started settling for jump shots and three-point shots. They stopped getting to the rim. Were their legs tired? Probably. Their legs probably were tired, but at the end of the day, no one cares about your legs. No one cares about your legs. No one cares how tired you are. You just got to win the game. And they won the first half. Got tired, got a little bit lazy for the second half, and then they lost. DeWanna Bonner, zilch. Nada. Kat Westbeld, 0. Right? Satu Sabli, only 10 points. Only. Like, that's not good enough. Alyssa Thomas had 18, which is great, but 16 of those were in the first half. In the second half, she was basically exclusively a passer, and her teammates wasn't making the shots. And so at that point, don't you just take it yourself, get to the rim, make some stuff happen? But you take the easy way out and pass the basketball, and your teammates miss, and no one's going to the rim. Well, it's only a few opportunities where you guys are actually going to the rim, because that's harder. And you're settling for threes, you're settling for jump shots, and you got to get to the rim. Right? Kalia Copper was scoring, yes. 22 points for her. But there was a lot of ill-advised shots. A lot of ill-advised shots for this Phoenix Mercury team. This Mercury team was too good to be playing the way they were playing. Too good. And if they play the way they did in game 1, this team is gone in 3 games. It's going to be a sweep if they don't get it together. But we'll see what happens. She looked tired out there. She did. She looked tired. She really looked tired. And that's something that rarely happens. But at the end of the day, that was a game that you could have stole. And road wins are so critical in the WNBA playoffs, especially if you're the lower seed. Phoenix had the game. All they had to do was just keep up that intensity, but they couldn't do it. And so goes the team. So goes the team. All right, so those are 2 games that happened yesterday. We saw the Phoenix Mercury lose to the Minnesota Lynx, and we also saw the Indiana Fever take down the Las Vegas Aces. Okay, those are the games that happened over this weekend. We also heard news of, I already talked about it earlier, but A'ja Wilson winning her 4th MVP. Coming in second place was Nafisa Collier. We saw here. Actually, let me just show a graphic of the MVP votes, just so we can do that quick segment, because I want to talk about Rickea Jackson real quick. Because shout out to Rickea Jackson. Anyway, let me show this real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up after that. But anything else you all want to talk about, just let me know in the comment section. Thank you. All right. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys. Again, if y'all could, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It really does help the channel out a whole lot. Thank you. Thank you in advance. All right. All right, guys. Let's talk about let's talk about the voting. Let's talk about the voting for All Star. So as we already said, A'ja Wilson has won her fourth WNBA All Star, and it wasn't close. It wasn't unanimous, but it wasn't as close as I believe some people were kind of saying it might be. We did see A'ja Wilson lead the charge with 657 points overall. That broke down to 51 first place votes, which count for 10. And then we also saw 21 second place votes, which count for 21, or which count for 7. We did not see any third, fourth, or fifth place votes for A'ja Wilson. All right, so she ended up with a total of 657 votes. All right. We also saw Napheesa Collier end up with second place. She had a total of 534 votes. 18 of those were first place votes. 42 of those were second place votes. 12 of those were third place votes. Napheesa Collier received no fourth or fifth place votes. Then in third place, we saw Alyssa Thomas, who finished with 391 votes. We saw AT with 3 first place votes, 9 second place votes, 59 third place votes, 1 fourth place vote, and no fifth place votes. Okay? Now, those 3 are the only 3 that received first place votes in the MVP race. Right? Then we go on to Alicia Gray of the Atlanta Dream, who had 180 points. Kelsey Mitchell of the Indiana Fever, who had 93 points. And those were your top 5, right? Those were your top 5, 657 points, 534 points, 391 points, 180 points, and 93 points. Okay? Now we continue on. In a surprise, we had Aaliyah Boston and Nneka Ogwumike in there, both receiving 5 total points apiece. We saw Aaliyah Boston get a 4th place vote and 2 5th place votes, and we saw the same exact thing for Nneka Ogwumike as well. Jackie Young got 2 5th place votes. Veronica Burton got 1 5th place vote. De'Erica Hamby, 1 5th place vote. Ryan Howard, 1 5th place vote. Rickea Jackson, 1 5th place vote. And Brianna Stewart with 1 5th place vote. Now, guys, the reason why this even happens is because voters vote for 5 people. It's a whole slate of people that you vote for when it comes to the MVP, and you rank them in order, 1 through 5. And so occasionally we get some surprise ones in here, and it's like, whoa, okay. And when I saw this list, I didn't even notice it at first. And then I started seeing people on Twitter talking about Rickea Jackson. I'm like, Rickea Jackson? What about Rickea Jackson? And I looked at this again, and I was like, oh, wow, Rickea Jackson got a 5th place vote in the MVP race. And then it made me think, okay, well, let's go through a quick reminder of what Rickea Jackson did this year. Because to me, Rickea Jackson, in my opinion, had the greatest leap, the greatest sophomore leap in the WNBA. Right? Right? And so since people are already talking about Rickea Jackson, let's talk about her, and let's talk about how truly great she was for the LA Sparks. Because Rickea Jackson She's in the same class as Caitlin and Angel, right? They both outshined her in her rookie season. However, in her sophomore season, we saw a more improved, more confident version of Rickea Jackson. And it was very, very exciting to see. Rickea Jackson finished 2025 with 14.7 points per game, 3.2 rebounds a game, 1.7 assists per game, shooting 42% from the field, 34% from the three-point line, and a confidence that wouldn't quit. Rickea Jackson started just about every game she played this year. Right? She was injured for some, but she played in a total of 38 games this year. Ended up starting in 37 of those. Last year, as a rookie, Rickea Jackson was on the bench quite a bit. Right? She would come off the bench, she would make an impact, and then she would be promptly put back on the bench earlier in the season. And then it felt like it felt like the LA Sparks were kind of forced to actually start her because she was playing so great that everybody was like, why in the world is Rickea Jackson not starting? And then she got put in the starting lineup, and then there's history. And with Lynn Roberts as the new head coach of the LA Sparks, I feel like Rickea Jackson is really gelling well with her. She's attempting more threes, which is going to be really great overall for Rickea Jackson's game. And you just see a lot of confidence. So, did her stats severely change last year to this year? No, not really. But her confidence, her approach to the game, and just the eye test, she looks a lot better. She looks a whole lot better. And so, while Rickea Jackson got a vote in MVP voting, and while that was like a fun fodder thing to talk about over the weekend, I do want to talk about what I see for Rickea Jackson's career, because to me, sky's the limit for Rickea Jackson. I think she's one of those unique players that's sort of like a now, okay, I'm not comparing her. Well, I am comparing her, but I'm not saying that she is like her. So yeah, that's something. Okay. So to me, Rickea Jackson is someone who could be like a Maya Moore type of player. Not in terms of, I'm not saying that Rickea Jackson is Maya Moore, but what I'm saying is, you know how Maya Moore, when she was playing, Maya Moore was basically like a combo, right? Maya Moore was a combo type of forward who could literally just do anything on the court, right? She can kind of play defense wherever she's needed. She can do whatever on offense. She could be a shooting guard. She could be a small forward. If need be, she could be a power forward. Like she could do a little bit of everything on the court for Maya Moore. And Rickea Jackson, with her size, can just kind of be put wherever on the court. Is she Maya Moore? No, she's not. But what I'm saying is she's a player who can be put in different places. Now, I guarantee you someone's going to clip that up and be like, see, she said Rickea Jackson is Maya Moore. That's not what I'm saying. But there are certain players in the WNBA that can do a little bit of everything. And Rickea Jackson is one of those players who can do a little bit of everything in terms of being able to play possibly three different positions on the court. Right? And so, yeah. Now, yeah, I'm pretty sure someone's going to be like, oh, see, Quita doesn't know what she's talking about. because she mentioned Maya Moore and Rickea Jackson in the same sentence. They're not the same player, but the ability to do more than one position, more than possibly even two positions, is something that I think is a great skill set that is going to do Rickea Jackson well as she continues on as a player. We also saw Breanna Stewart get a vote. I mean, ultimately, these fifth place votes don't mean anything. Basically, I think some of these voters are probably just like scratching their heads. Of, okay, fifth, who, you know, who would I vote for? You know, and they just kind of picked whoever. But yeah, I just wanted to use that opportunity to just talk about Rickea Jackson, because I think Rickea Jackson is a really good player, a really, really, really good player. All right. Yeah, she does. She does need to work on her defense, though. Yeah, she does. All right. Anyway, that's the stream. I don't have anything else to say. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. If y'all could, make sure to hit that like button. It really does help the channel out a whole lot. Also, make sure to subscribe as well. Shout out to everybody who got a vote for MVP. Shout out to Veronica Burton, who the most improved player, who has had a fantastic season this year, right? And yes, Sarah Strong is scary good already. Yeah. Sarah Strong is flat out amazing. Like, truly. And last year, she looked like a player that's about to go in the WNBA. That's how good she is. But also, remember, her mom was a pro. And so, like, you know, she got that work ethic. She has the exact right size to be dominant in the WNBA once she gets there. But yeah. Tisha says Rickea is barely in the top 20 in any category. She doesn't deserve to be on that list. More than those left off. Yeah. But I was like, if people talking about it, let me talk about her season this year. I thought she had a great season, but no. Did she have a good enough season to be a fifth place vote in MVP? No, she does not. No, she did not. No, she did not. Right? But it seemed like the media voters were, I guess, scratching their heads when it got to the fifth place vote, which is weird to me because, like, okay. I don't know. I don't know. I think the top five were the solid top fives all season. Like, I don't know. Did a player like Alicia Gray or Kelsey Mitchell just get completely off the list? You know, because to me they're the 4 and 5. So like, who didn't put them on their list to vote for Rickea Jackson? But with that being said, Rickea Jackson did have a good year. I want to talk about it. Jay Ali says, anyone know what time Unrivaled roster is being announced? I know they're making an announcement today. I'm assuming it's probably going to be around noon, my assumption, but we'll see. We will see. Carmela says, Quita, are you going to do a sophomore review? I should. I just don't know if I have the time to do it. Yeah. Yeah, I should. I like the idea, but the problem is I just have too many ideas that I don't have time for. So, yeah, I don't know. It would be nice. But also, guys, Friday will be, for those who submitted the voicemails, thank you for doing that. The show, the Heart of the Fans show will be on Friday. All right? So all your voicemails and whatnot will be playing on Friday. Okay. All right. Anyway, Thank y'all, and y'all have a great day. Until next time, guys. Oh, let me get my in broadcast. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.